Hey, welcome. Today we're going to start talking about World War II, and we're going to start by talking about the roots of World War II, which should be a little bit of a review for most of you guys. And I'm going to start with the Treaty of Versailles. So the Treaty of Versailles was a treaty that Germany signed to exit World War I. And after World War I, Germany really struggled, but as the economy improved, most Germans ignored the violent actions of the Nazi Party, who had gained power in the 1930s. And Adolf Hitler took advantage of the League of Nations' resistance to use force and began violating several terms of the hated Versailles Treaty. And that includes the guilt clause, heavy reparation payments, disarmament or the reduction of the German military to 100,000 troops with no tanks, with no airplanes, and no submarines, and also the loss of land and the people they also lost with that. So you also have problems with the League of Nations. So after World War I, the League of Nations was formed to prevent future wars, but the League of Nations was not effective and was resistant to use force against Italy and Japan when they became aggressive and started attacking other countries. So Italy invaded Ethiopia in 1935. The League of Nations placed sanctions on Italy, but didn't use any force to stop it. And the two main countries in the League of Nations would be France and Britain at this point. And then in 1931, Japan invaded China, a region of China called Manchuria, and did it again in 1937. The League of Nations really didn't do much against Japan, and Japan, who was a member of the League of Nations, will eventually leave the League of Nations shortly after this. And Hitler, Germany's leader at this point, noticed the League of Nations' hesitance to use force, and he started to violate several terms of the Treaty of Versailles that we talked about earlier, with the small military, the land that they had to abandon, and other things. So he formed an alliance with Italy and Japan against communism. They become known as the Axis powers, and also against democracy. And now Germany is going to start challenging peace. So Hitler recognized the League of Nations' resistance to use force and started violating several terms of the treaty. So he rebuilds the German military, and the military absorbs the SA and becomes very large. He sends troops into the Rhineland, which you can see is this area right here, inside the German section of the French border. And he annexes Austria, who they had an alliance with in World War I, and is also Hitler's home country. This taking over the Austria becomes known as the Anschluss. He takes over the Sudetenland, or was given the Sudetenland during a Munich conference from Czechoslovakia, and then invaded and took over the rest of Czechoslovakia despite his promises to not take over any more territory. And then he formed the Nazi-Soviet Pact. All the while, the League of Nations is doing nothing to stop him, and he is scared of Stalin and fighting a two-front war. So he forms a Nazi-Soviet Pact, which is a non-aggression pact with the Soviet Union. Hitler wants to avoid a two-front war, and Soviet Union is unprepared for war and wants to delay things until they have time to build up their military and organize their army. Now, up to this point, the League of Nations, Britain, France really didn't do much to stop Hitler. But about a week after signing the Nazi-Soviet Pact, Hitler is going to invade Western Poland, and France and Britain will declare war on Germany. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. Britain and France really didn't do much to stop Germany. And a few days, or a matter of a couple weeks after Germany invaded Poland, in the Western Poland, Soviet Union will invade Eastern Poland. So here's the events that we talked about. There will be a question on a test where we have to put these in order. And then alliances start to form in World War II, sorry. You have the Axis powers, which is Germany, Italy, and Japan. And at the beginning of the war, they're mostly fighting against Britain and France, but Belgium once again gets involved. France will leave the war early in July of 1940. Soviet Union will enter in June 1941 as Hitler invades the Soviet Union, and the United States will join in December 1941 after the Japanese bomb Pearl Harbor. All right, thanks for listening. Hopefully that gives you a quick introduction into the causes of World War II. The next lesson, we will look at the beginning of World War II, focusing on the invasion of Poland and the invasion of France. All right, thanks for listening. Have any questions, let me know. Talk to you later. Bye.